Welcome to Coffee and the Bull.
Hey guys, Mike and John with Coffee and the Bull. I want to say thank y'all for taking a moment out of your brand new year to listen to our podcast. This is the first episode of January. The other one landed just before and kind of carried us in, but this is the first one dedicated to 2025.
Yep.
And we're going to be talking about, hey, I didn't sign up for this. It's going to be the title of this episode. It's going to cover some things where life didn't turn your way. You're looking around and this isn't what you signed up for. This isn't what you thought it was going to be. You're not where you thought would be at this point in life.
Yep.
So that's what we're going to be addressing today. But beforehand, we're going to kind of get started. We got a message from, you want to pull it up?
Oh, yeah.
Way to be prepared, John. We got a message from a friend of John's who has known him for several years, and to keep a little bit of anonymity to us, we're not going to put his name out. But like we said, if you send us something, we're going to, if you're fine with us sharing it, we're going to share it, and just kind of let everybody kind of experience what you're going through, or what review or whatever, what have you. So, John.
So, like Mike was saying, a good friend of mine messaged, When the World Turns Dark was a legit one of the best podcasts I've listened to. It feels less lonely when you know other men feel the same way you do, and we're all out here just simply trying to find peace. It's easy to forget when the world turns dark that the Lord has promised us peace through faith in Him. I just want to say thank you for putting out the raw truth. And so that's kind of where we're taking into today's episode with, I didn't sign up for this. We start out as little kids on the playground, making friends with everybody, and hey, you want to go to my house and play video games, or, whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden you're an adult and, you're on divorce number 2, or you're on job number 900, or whatever the case may be. And you realize, I didn't sign up for this.
Right.
I didn't sign up for the constant struggles and the battles and the uphill fights every single day.
Right.
And it changes, in your day-to-day operation. As a kid, we knew that, okay, so Billy doesn't share his toys, so I don't want to be friends with him. Well, now you're an adult and, you move into, I don't know if I like that guy, or I don't know if I can be friends with that guy, or, how is this opportunity going to adjust or change my life? And it makes it so complex that you just sit down one day and go, I didn't sign up for any of this.
Well, I know with honestly, I believe every kid growing up. So all the listeners, when you revert back, down memory lane, and you look at how you were in high school or junior high or whatever, like we all had ambitions of.
Right.
I'm going to be a millionaire. Like, I'm going to be loaded.
Right.
I'm going to get a good job. I
What
got
do they
all
call
these
it?
ideas.
The delusions of grandeur.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm going to have all this going on so that I don't have to be paycheck to paycheck. I don't have to worry about bills like my parents had to. I'm going to be better than them. Nothing against them, but it's just if typically parents try to provide a better life for the kids, so you want to take advantage of that, and I'm going to be the guy. Hey, we're going to go on trips to Bali or wherever exotic place you want to go to. We're going to do this, and I'm going to have a big house. Fancy cars, if you're into Ferraris or Lamborghinis, that might have been your thing or whatever.
So my little boy always tells me he's going to buy me a Ferrari.
Right. And so it's like we had all these ideas of where we would be at, and now you turn, we're knocking on 40, and you're like, all right, well, did not get the big house.
Right.
Don't have the $1 million in the bank account. Don't have, all this going on. And, while I'm not, necessarily, I say that I'm not loaded with money, I'm not signing up to miss a paycheck either.
Right.
I'm not trying to be like, I don't need this job and tell my boss to shove it. Like, I'm not, definitely not taking was it Alan Jackson who sang that song? Take the job and shove it.
Yeah.
Not trying to be that guy, because I can't be that guy. I can't. I have obligations, and and I don't. I drive. At this point in time, I drive a 1995 Chevy pickup truck.
Right.
It was free. I've been in the spots where I've had the nice vehicles and things like that. And if you would have told me, 19-year-old Mike, this is what I would be at this age, then I'd be like, I doubt that. Like, I don't know who
Right.
you're looking at, but that's not going to be who I am. I'm going to college. I got a degree.
I'm gonna be an aeronautical
I'm
engineer.
gonna do all this stuff. And that's not what happened. Instead, I don't have. I wanted a big family. Several kids and everything. I've got one kid, and there's nothing wrong with having one kid. But nothing that I thought as a younger guy, nothing I thought life would be at almost 40 years old is what's happening.
Right.
And so it kind of puts you in a depressed state where you're like, hey, this isn't what I signed up for. What happened? Where did I lose track? Where did I drop the ball? Is the way we look at it. When did I become a failure?
Right.
And we go down that rabbit hole and we beat ourselves up, and you just like and that's what I think that alludes to the midlife crisis.
Yeah.
And I think that's why for some guys who hey, they've been married for 10, 15 years. And then they get a divorce just because there's a more attractive female out there. It's not even that there was issues at home.
Right.
It's just they want something different, try to get it back on track. And then you see all these different things where you're like, why would you do that? Why would you go, you took a mortgage out on your house to go buy this expensive car that nobody cares about. You're 50 years old with back problems. You're climbing in and out of a Corvette.
Right.
Who saw that was going to be an issue?
Right.
And so it's like you see all these things go on, and I think a lot of his guys we didn't sign up for this. It's not what you selected. Kind of like you play video games or whatever. You select your avatar in the beginning of the game, and what map you want to play. Well, no,
Right.
that's not where this
Right,
isn't what I
right.
selected.
This ain't the
isn't what I
Sims.
chose.
Yeah.
But I think and we can break it down for some guys who are like, I don't really know what you're talking about, Mike. I'm living the dream. Well, this maybe isn't the episode for you.
Right.
Tune back into the next episode.
Right.
But
It's a successful one.
yeah. We'll do one for people who have everything in the bag next week.
Right.
But and this is something I think you could probably take a little bit better approach than I can. Is when you look at guys who are looking at divorce, that is I'm not going to say a problem, but it's an issue that guys deal with.
Right.
Probably more prevalent than a lot of other things, because it's not uncommon to get a divorce.
Especially not nowadays.
Not nowadays. It's very easy. It's not back when our parents were coming up. It was at least down in the South, it was looked at as shame, shame, shame.
Right. Right.
But they still did it.
Right.
But now it's not uncommon.
But it was a rarity though. Like it's the dynamic of divorces has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like our great grandparents and grandparents, divorce wasn't a thing. That was like,
Right.
Oh my God, blasphemy. Whereas like our parents, I remember growing up, like divorce wasn't on the table unless it was like domestic violence or
Right.
like massive adultery or financial,
It
burdens or
wasn't,
whatever.
hey, I don't like you anymore.
Right. It was, we're going to tough it out. And I'll be the first one to say social media has destroyed the relationships of today's society because you have so many DMs and high school sweethearts, what could have happened bullshit that pops in. And so, to not to derail us too far, but honestly, I think that in today's society, if you're looking at your life and you're going, where did I drop the ball? Where did I fail? Then you're not looking at what you have achieved and what you can achieve from where you are. And that leads me to the problem and the solution. The problem is you and the solution is you.
Right.
It for example, growing up, I wanted to have a big old house. I wanted to have a lot of kids. I wanted to have the big happy family. I wanted the house that everybody was like, oh, it's so-and-so's birthday, or, oh, we're going to have a get-together for a holiday or a party. Where are we going to do it at? Let's go to John's house. That's what I wanted. Mm-hmm. I wanted the house big enough to facilitate everybody, coming over. And now I'm looking at, okay, sure, I got a 5-bedroom house. I got 4 bathrooms. It's a good big house. I hate this house.
Right.
The nobody tells you with the big house comes, the upkeep, the maintenance, the mortgage, the insurance, all the things that it requires. I mean, I know you remember back in August, September when I was like, my electric bill is $600-700.
Right.
Yeah,
you can have that.
Yeah, right. Like I was excited. I just paid the electric bill this morning. It was $368, and I was like, oh, got a little extra pocket money.
Right.
I can buy a snack, like, and that's the delusions of grandeur, we never thought about what else it was. It's why I'm selling the house, because it's like, I don't need this. This
Right.
isn't, life didn't bring me where I wanted to be, and I need to simplify where I'm at, because having the big house, I've got 2 bedrooms I don't even use. And to be fair, it's technically 3, because my daughter cannot help herself at 2 in the morning to come crawling to bed with daddy.
Right. She might as well not have a room.
Right. Like, I don't even know what it's there for, because it's the living room or my room. That's where she ends up. So, and my son is just as bad. Middle of the day, what are you doing in here? And he's like, I just want to lay in your room. I'm going to give a whole bedroom to yourself. I know. I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. So it's like I said, you're the problem and you're the solution. If you get yourself into that boat where we start looking at life and, hey, I've got a 20-year marriage with, a woman that's saved up $50,000 in the bank account because she's kind of stringent with the money. Frugal. She doesn't want to spend your money. She's a stay-at-home mom. You got 2 kids and you got one in college and one's a teen, and your wife's at home and she's doing all the right things that a stay-at-home wife does. And, you're at work making good money, and something young and pretty and shiny comes in, and you're like, well, I'm going to walk away from this, and I'm going to jump into this because this pretty shiny thing is talking to me. And you don't realize that now you're going to pay alimony, you're still going to pay child support, and you're going to walk away from that. You're going to blow through all your money because you're trying to impress the shiny thing. But when it's all gone, and now you're stuck with well, you're not so shiny now, are you? And that's where we as men, we start to screw up when we have those midlife crises, where you start looking at this is annoying, or she's doing this that's bothering me, or you walk away from that job that you've been at for 20 plus years, and you're like, man, I've worked here for 20 years and I get zero respect, or I don't get the promotions, or I don't get the raises. What are you doing to show the boss that you deserve that stuff? Are you actually doing everything in your power to show them that you deserve that promotion or that raise or whatever? And that's one of the things that I had the revelation with the first agency that we worked at. And I walked away because I felt like I was getting the carrot rubbed in front of my face. And to a degree I was. And I'm not bad-mouthing that agency. I actually have a lot of respect for the agency itself. Maybe not all the people, but the agency itself. But I walked away because I kept feeling like they're dangling the carrot in front of my face. But I also know in reality, if I would have just shut up and stopped pointing out every single thing to prove that I was right, it didn't matter how many great things I was doing and how many things I was accomplishing as in that role. They would have been like, well, this is just a street level guy, but he's doing XYZ stuff up here. If he could just shut up and stop saying, well, no, you're an idiot because of this, this, and this, I probably could have made it farther.
Well, I think, a lot of the male issues come from our egos.
Yeah.
and our sense that, because you look at it in any profession, it could be welders, this welder, we think we're not replaceable.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, like I remember when I was working in the plants, every welder thought that they were the top dog.
Right.
Everybody else's welds were trash. They're going to have ferocity in them, or whatever different terminology that would be an issue for weld, air pockets or whatever. But no, theirs will be perfect. Everybody else is trash. Theirs will be perfect.
Right.
Theirs will stand up to the test of time. And same thing with cops. The best cop is the one you're dealing with, or is himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know when I spent a little bit of time as a canine handler, and one of the things that I learned, and I spent a lot of time because I wanted to be good at it. I spent a lot of time on these forums. That it's canine handlers that have, some of them have decades of experience and they pass it on. And one of the things that I found, it applied for canine handlers, but it also applied in a lot of other areas too. Is the only thing 2 canine handlers will agree on is that the third one's doing it wrong.
Right.
Right. And when you really break that down, you're like, God, that applies across the board.
Yeah.
We all think we're the best at what we're doing.
Right.
And what that does is makes us think we're irreplaceable. And so when you get at work, you're like, if I quit,
this place will burn.
This place will burn to the ground.
Right.
Well, surprise, Timmy, you quit.
And it's still going.
They still kept rolling. You know,
Ty,
because
I want to point out that Hammond Harley Davidson failed after I left.
It's you
Just-
know, but
I don't know if that's a correlation.
I don't think it had anything to do with you. I think it
I'm
had
gonna
a lot
run
to do
with
with
my
the fact they're
story.
selling overpriced motorcycles. But anyway, you know, it's you have it where if I leave, this is going to go downhill because none of these guys know what they're doing. They're so dumb. I hold their hands, and they are blessed to have me. Well, that's not the mindset that you've got to have, that you can have. You can have that thought process, but you know, you also have to realize that, hey, you 100% you are replaceable. And I know a lot of guys, you know, on the marriage side of things, where you know they think that, hey, they are the, you know, it's their house,
the bread and butter to the house.
I'm the breadwinner. You know, she better respect me, and you know, and all this other stuff, because she's just a stay-at-home mom, or you know, she only does this or that, and so they're like, you know, they think that they are what holds a family unit together, and so they think they're irreplaceable. Well, all of a sudden, you know, yes, she was wearing sweatpants, but now all of a sudden she's got a gym membership and she's in shape, and then you got all these other guys, and you're like, all right, well, I left her, but I still don't want her to be happy with all these other people.
Right, and you're still cutting that check every month for alimony.
And so it's like you that idea that, hey, I'm not replaceable, that, you know, that I'm owed better than what I've got, is what drives us to a lot of the decisions that we make, where it's just not good. And don't get me wrong, sometimes things just don't work out.
Yep.
You know, I'll give it that. You know, like I had a business, and I put a lot of blood, sweat, tears, missed a lot of events because I was doing jobs. It was a little construction job. Or little construction business, and I worked my butt off. I'm not, you know, there were years where it was, you know, averaging 3 to 4 hours of sleep a day, you know, and that was what it was, and because I had work to do. I'm busting my knuckles and busting skin and elbows, and you name it, I was giving it everything I had. And it just didn't work out. You know, it's you know, maybe I just didn't have the business acumen that I thought I had. And I had, you know, some employees were good, some employees were terrible, and so it just worked out where it's like, hey, you know what, this is not going to keep going, and I realized that, hey, you can chalk it up as a failure, you can chalk it up as a learning experience, however you want to look at it.
Right.
That business did not become the dream that I thought it was going to be, because I thought, you know, I'm going to grow this thing up. I'll be the guy. I show up to work, collect a check, and I leave.
Right.
And have somebody run it for me. Well, that's not how life goes.
Right.
And that's not, honestly, that's probably why it didn't work, because if you look at any successful business owner, that's not how they operate. You know, they have to be dedicated to it.
And
but
there.
There's also a trade-off where they don't get to spend the time at home.
But look at how much your relationships, and I don't just mean home relationships, I mean friend relationships, everything else. Look at how much they diminished during that time. Not over the whole time, because obviously not every one of them failed or lost or whatever, but you're getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep. You know, you become a monster in your own way.
Yeah, just grumpy and tired.
Because you're exhausted, you're tired. You've got a million irons in the fire, as they say, and so you're taking yourself away from all of the other relationships in your life. And I think that a lot of men get to that point where we either we break something off and we say, okay, well, I need to focus on this, so I'm going to lose my family and my marriage. Or you say, okay, well, I can't hang out with Bill, Ted, and Dave because, you know, our Saturday night poker, well, now I've got this job, I've got to work overtime, and if I go spend 4 hours smoking and drinking with them, I'm not going to get the sleep I need for Sunday.
Right.
You know, and then we can even jump into faith. Like, how many times did you miss church because you had a job to do?
Right.
Or,
that's one of the first things that goes.
Is
your spiritual walk.
It is. And so it's one of the things that we as guys, we don't ever think about that. That's never a factor in our brain because we don't ever put that forethought into it to say, okay, I know that I've got a job. I know that I work a 12-hour shift. And if I keep jumping on the 12-hour overtimes or you know, staying over 4 or 5 hours, you know, yeah, sure, it looks great on paper when you look at your paycheck. But in the end of the day, what did you lose? And we never look at that. We never look at what we're gaining versus what we're losing. And so I remember Mike when Mike was working and a business owner. And I remember Mike when Mike was a business owner, and I didn't see Mike very often.
Right.
It cost me $40,000 to see Mike. And that's because I had to hire you to fucking remodel my house. I mean, freaking is what I said. TikTok
Quack.
people, quack. But